What if you woke up tomorrow and your bank account had 12 zeros in it? Not $12, 12 zeros. I'm talking about the kind of money that makes your brain short circuit just trying to count it. Would you even know what to do? Most people say, oh, I'd travel, buy a house, help my family. But here's the real question. Would you still be you? Would you still remember where you came from? Because the most powerful millionaires in history, they never forgot. Let me tell you a story, and I promise you this one is going to hit different. His name was Marcus, born in a tiny apartment in Detroit, Michigan, where the pipes froze every winter and the heating bill was always too high. His mom worked 2 jobs, his dad gone before Marcus could even remember his face. They had 1 pair of shoes between the 2 kids, and Marcus wore them on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. His little sister got Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on weekends, they both went barefoot inside the house and pretended it was a game. Now, I need you to really feel that, because this isn't just a story about money. This is a story about the human spirit, that invisible fire inside every single one of us that refuses to go out, no matter how cold the world gets. There's an old Uzbek saying that goes, Tash yokandaham tong otari. Even when stones rain down, the dawn still comes. Marcus didn't know that quote, but he lived it every single day. When Marcus was 9 years old, he found a broken calculator in the school trash. Half the buttons didn't work, but he sat there for 3 hours figuring out what he could still do with the working ones. His teacher, Miss Patterson, watched him from the doorway and thought, this kid is different. She gave him a math book. He read it like it was a comic book. He didn't see numbers. He saw patterns. He saw possibilities. He saw a way out. But here's where things get real, because life didn't suddenly hand Marcus a golden ticket just because he was smart. No, life did what life does. It tested him hard. At 15, his mom got sick. Nothing dramatic, nothing movie-worthy, just the slow, grinding kind of sick that eats away at everything. Hospital bills, missed work, lights getting turned off. Marcus started delivering newspapers before school at 4 a.m. He'd come back, wake his sister up, make her oatmeal with whatever was in the cabinet, and then go to school and pretend everything was fine. He smiled at people. He cracked jokes. He was the funny kid in class. But inside, he was making a promise to himself. A quiet, fierce, unbreakable promise. One day, I will be the person who helps, not the one who needs it. Now, pause for a second. I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever made a promise to yourself, late at night, when nobody was watching, when the ceiling was the only witness? If you have, hold on to that, because that promise is the seed of everything. Marcus graduated high school with a partial scholarship to a state university. Partial, which meant he still had to figure out the other half. He worked at a diner on weekends, he tutored kids in math for $8 an hour, he slept 5 hours a night, and yet he was building, quietly, relentlessly, brick by brick. In his junior year of college, he had an idea. It sounds small now, but at the time it was revolutionary to him. He noticed that most of his classmates were losing track of their money, spending too much, saving too little, not understanding interest rates or credit cards or investments. So he built a simple app, nothing fancy, just a little budget tracker that spoke to broke college students in plain English with a little humor thrown in. He called it Broke No More. His roommate laughed at the name. His professor told him it was too informal for the financial sector. His mom, who by then was doing a little better, said, "Baby, you sure about this?" And Marcus said yes, because Walt Disney was told his ideas were too childish, because Steve Jobs was fired from his own company, because J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter changed the world. Rejection is not a stop sign, it's a detour. There's another Uzbek wisdom that says, Sabr kilgan, murad olgan. The one who is patient will receive their reward. Marcus was patient, not passive, patient. There's a difference. He kept building, he kept improving, he stayed up nights rewriting code he didn't fully understand yet, watching YouTube tutorials, reading forums, emailing strangers who knew more than him. 6 months after launching, Broke No More had 200 users, then 2,000, then a tech blog wrote about it, then a bigger blog, then a podcast, then a venture capitalist from San Francisco sent him an email that began with the words, "I think you're onto something."
Marcus read that email 17 times. Then he called his mom and cried. Not sad crying, the other kind. The kind that feels like all the years of pressure finally breaking through the surface. The investment came. It wasn't millions yet. It was seed money, enough to quit the diner, enough to hire one other person, enough to take the app to the next level. And Marcus, he moved fast, because he'd spent so long moving slow, fighting for every inch, that when the door finally opened, he ran. Now here's the part of the story that movies always rush through, but I'm going to slow down for you, because this is where character is really revealed. As Broke No More grew, Marcus got offers, big offers. Companies wanted to buy him out. Investors wanted him to change the app, make it more premium, target wealthy users instead of broke college students. The money being waved in front of him was, and I want you to really picture this, life-changing money, multiple millions, right there. All he had to do was sell out the people he originally built it for. He said no. His investors were furious. His co-founder thought he was losing his mind. But Marcus remembered those Tuesday and Thursday mornings when his little sister wore the shoes and he went barefoot. He remembered every single person who ever needed help but couldn't afford it. He had built something for them, and he wasn't going to turn his back on them just because someone was waving a check in his face. You know what that is? That's integrity. That's the thing that separates people who are rich from people who are truly great. Boilik bu olte nemas, balki kalb keng lege. Wealth is not gold, but the generosity of the heart. This Uzbek saying could have been written about Marcus. 3 years later, 3 years of pivoting, failing small, adapting, hiring brilliant people, firing the wrong ones, nearly running out of money twice, Broke No More had 15 million users across 32 countries. It was featured in Forbes. Marcus was on the cover. The headline read, "The Kid from Detroit Who Gave the World Financial Freedom." The day the magazine came out, Marcus drove back to his old neighborhood. He walked into his old school and asked to speak to the kids. The principal recognized him. She'd seen the news. She said yes immediately. Marcus stood in front of a gym full of middle schoolers in wrinkled uniforms and mismatched shoes, and he said something that brought half the teachers to tears. He said, "When I was your age, I sat in these exact seats. I was tired. I was scared. I didn't know if things were ever going to get better. And I want to tell you something that nobody told me back then. They will. But not because luck finds you, because you show up. Every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, you show up." The room was silent, and then one kid in the back row started clapping, and then another, and then the whole gym was on its feet. That sound was worth more to Marcus than every dollar in his bank account. Now, I want to bring this back to you, because you didn't click on this video by accident. You're here because something in you is hungry. Something in you knows that where you are right now is not where you're meant to stay. What would you do if you were a millionaire? It's a fun question, but here's the better question. What are you doing right now to become the person who deserves that life? Because millionaires aren't made on lucky days. They're made on the days when everything feels impossible and they do the work anyway. Marcus didn't start with money. He started with a broken calculator and a promise. What do you have? What's the promise you made to yourself at 2 a.m. when the world was quiet and only you were listening? Don't waste it. Don't let it fade. That promise is your compass. Follow it, even barefoot, even in the cold, even when nobody claps, yet. Because the dawn always comes. The dawn always comes. And when it does, and it will, make sure you've earned it with every ounce of who you are. That's the only kind of wealth that never runs out.